beginning of my competition days, I started competing at 15. I started training at 11. I think everybody knows, I grew up in a bodybuilding household. My mom was a competitive bodybuilder. My stepdad at the time was a competitive bodybuilder. So, I basically saw it throughout my whole life, from the age of 6 to the age of 11, and then I began. My first show was, it's funny because my coach came up to me and it was a bodybuilding show. It was a high school bodybuilding show. They wanted 2 people from every high school all over California to compete in this teenage show. And so my coach obviously picked me at the time, and that was my first show. And from that point on, I just continued to compete in teenage shows. I did a total of 13 teenage competitions, which teenage shows back then was really big. Right now, it's not real popular. Teenagers are doing other things. But back then, it was probably go to a teenage show and there's like, there'd probably be 15 to 20 guys, in the show, which was amazing. Now that I don't think they have that category anymore. My most memorable time as a teenager was probably, I think it was the last show I did as a teenager, and I was 19, actually I was 18. And I tried a little, Arnold psychological warfare. And so I actually went and weighed in with the open men. And at that show, I weighed in at 231, and I was a teenager. And I was the heaviest open men in the show. So I was the heaviest competitor on the show, but I was a teenager. So I weighed in with the open men, and then when they called teenagers to line up, I walked over and lined up. And people are like, "What are you doing? You're an open man." I'm like, "No, I'm a teenager." And everyone's like, "Holy shit." So that felt incredible. And then the open men were like, "Oh, thank God he's not in our class." Obviously this was a, a little local level show, but it felt good. And when I went on stage, I was 231, and the next guy closest to me was like 170. So that was kind of an awesome experience for me. But on the flip side, that happened to me also. There was a show that I went in, and Andrew Bernarski showed up, and he was the actor on The Program. I don't know if you guys remember the football movie, the crazy steroided guy. And he weighed in at 258. So there's always someone bigger. There's always someone better. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone tougher. And he walked in. I'm like, oh, what the hell is he doing here? He won the Teenage USA's the week before. Why are you in my show? So obviously he beat me. So, but it's to his its own. But my teenagers were great. I enjoyed bodybuilding, and my first men's show was, I did the California at the age of 21, which I honestly thought I was going to win. I mean, I was winning all the teenage shows, and I showed up and I didn't make top 5, and I just couldn't believe it. And my family showed up, my mom showed up, she came down from Sacramento, and I didn't make top 5. So I went back to the drawing board, and I started doing some more local level shows, winning. And then I went and hit the Cal again, and then that was my time. So I actually won the Orange County overall. 5 weeks later, won the California overall. And then my next goal was the USA Championships. And that was a year. I was gonna wait a year, put some size on. And I actually put on 46 pounds of muscle in that year. And I know that sounds impossible, but I placed 7th in the USA. So obviously I was in considerably good shape to place 7th. I weighed in at 278, and that is, that's the biggest I've ever been in my life, was a ripped 278. So that's, that was, I think after that show, that's when the fire just kind of fizzled out of me as far as bodybuilding went. I had other things going on. I was buying real estate, I was doing this, and I had other things going on, and I still had the love for it, but it wasn't my #1 priority. Up until that point, bodybuilding was my life. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about my girlfriend. I didn't care about this. I didn't care about my job. I didn't care about my family. Like, all I care about is that trophy. That $5 trophy meant more to me than anything, and it's a sport. And that's if you're an athletic competitor and you want to be #1, that's how you have to be. You have to want it more than anything else in the world. And that's the way I was. When I decide to do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and put all the effort in I can. And that's just the spirit of a champion. And realistically, I should have done the USA the following year, and I think I could have easily won if I had continued that route, but I didn't. I started doing other things, and I took 3 or 4 years off from bodybuilding, got out of the scene, wasn't involved, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm gonna do a contest. So went and did a contest, but that's not the way you compete. As a competitive bodybuilder, you have to keep pushing every single day for that goal. You can't take 4 years off and then come back. It doesn't work that way. And I've learned that, and as far as other things in my life, That's what I continue to do. I just put everything towards it and I keep pushing until I hit that goal. And in bodybuilding, I didn't do that. You know, I would push, I'd get frustrated, I'd give up for 3 or 4 years, then I'd come back. Give up, come back, can't do that. You gotta keep pushing every single day until you win that show, whatever it is you're shooting for, which the USA's was, California was my main goal in life. But once I won the California, hey, that ain't good enough. You know, I got to win the USA. So I was shooting to win the USA's, and you know, I gave it 1 year, and then I just, you know, didn't keep it going. So, but I'm happy with the way things turned out. I got a great sponsor now. I'm traveling all over the world, signing autographs, and getting popular. And I don't compete, so that's a beautiful thing. So I can enjoy it. I can eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, work out any way I want, build my body any way I want, and just have fun with it. So, so I'm loving life. And here I am at beautiful Venice Beach. What more could I ask for, right?